It's the ultimate act of love.
Yeah.
Food preparation next to 69. But it's a kind gesture. It's like, who's it, Gabe Iglesias? Where the motherfuckers bring him cakes?
Yeah. When I started baking, people started to know me for bread. People would bring me baked goods. And my wife's like, you don't eat that, right? When strangers come up and give you baked goods, you don't eat that. I'm like, no.
You should be backstage.
I eat all of it.
Demolishing that shit.
It's breaking bread.
Thank you. I would have baked you bread if we were in Los Angeles. But
What kind of bread?
I bake sourdough bread.
Okay, that's
Beautiful, luxurious, delicious sourdough bread.
Bacon motherfuckers be baking shit and don't ask you your preferences. And then I was on the road with Last Comic Standing tour.
Uh-huh.
This is 2010.
Yeah.
It's me, Tommy Johnigan,
Nice.
Mike Kaplan, Felipe Esparza, and Mike DiStefano, rest in peace. And Kaplan, because he's a vegan, there's something about vegan comics where when motherfuckers know that you're a vegan, the fans bring you shit. It's the same as the weed comics, like Mark Maron. I think people bring Maron. I don't think Maron's a vegan, but he has baking fans.
Maron does?
Yeah, Maron. I saw him once I was in Austin. He just had like a handful of fucking cookies in Ziplocs. Vegans were bringing Kaplan these cookies and like, fuck your allergies. I know nothing about you. I'm just going to make you. And it's the ultimate act of love.
Yeah.
Food preparation next to 69. But it's a kind gesture. It's like, who's it, Gabe Iglesias? Where the motherfuckers bring him cakes?
Yeah. When I started baking, people started to know me for bread. People would bring me baked goods. And my wife's like, you don't eat that, right? When strangers come up and give you baked goods, you don't eat that. I'm like, no.
You should be backstage.
I eat all of it.
Demolishing that shit. It's the same thing with shrooms. I mentioned shrooms once or twice on a podcast. I don't know, it must have been like 3 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And every now and then a random person after a show, like, just hand me a bag of shrooms. Like, what the fuck do you think I'm going to do with this on a Thursday in Seattle?
By myself in a Days Inn.
Yeah, like shrooms is a whole shift. Like you have to block out a whole day for that. And I'm not traveling with it. Like in my mind, and that's
right.
I think it should be the mind of any responsible person, but it's especially for me, like just in the eyes as a black man, there's a shroom dog. There it is. And they go, oh man, they ain't got no dog for shroom. Not yet, that you know of, and that's what the government wants you to think.
Yeah, and it's always in the smaller market airports that they have it.
And I'll always be the dumbass who has shrooms on him from a person I don't know, and I didn't even do them. And then here comes the fucking shroom narcotic dog. I don't get the bomb dog or the weed dog. I get this fucking psilocybin fucking dog. So I stopped talking about shrooms. Yeah. Well, except for now. I stopped talking about drugs on podcasts.
Right.
Like the idea of even mentioning shrooms. Like I don't do weed. I drink a little, but I've never done anything else. And like shroom fans want me to try there. And they mean well. Like they grew it themselves. It's the same as baking. Right. Essentially.
I had a woman in Arizona who there's that drug that you get off of frogs. There's like they secrete something and then they take it off and they distill it into like a flake, and that stuff is supposed to make you like ayahuasca transport. And she came up in a little baggie and gave it to me, and it was like she was like a priest giving me communion. She was like, "This is for you," and I was like,
DMT,
thank you. And I was like, same thing. I'm like, I'm alone in this kind of sad hotel. I don't think this is the place to blast off with DMT. And then my wife was like, you do not get on the plane with that.
Doug Stanhope did a bit about DMT, and he said it's the same chemical supposedly it's the same chemical that releases in your brain when you die or when you're close to death. Oh. So DMT is like some super portal type of shit that'll send you to another place. And
would you do it?
No. I think that stuff has the potential to rewire you. Mm-hmm. it's like when salt water gets in electronics and then it dries and the electronics still works, but it's a little different.
Yeah.
It's a little
Yeah.
wonky
Uh-huh.
in a way. And I'm like,
Yeah,
no.
ayahuasca. Everyone's into ayahuasca in LA.
I did. So ayahuasca is supposed to be a 2-day. At least the guy that I was introduced to with it or whatever. This is a couple years ago. It's supposed to be a 2-day thing, and I bailed after the first day. It was too much, and I'm thankful that I'm back on Earth with my shit together.
Yeah.
Still,
It got scary?
Yeah, because it's not like it's like if you're in search of something, what are you in search of? Like on some mental shit. Like what are you trying to mine or emotionally excavate and fix or repair or get an answer to? And then when you're on that journey, I have to be careful about the words I use with ayahuasca, because the ayahuasca people get all, you can't call it a drug. It is a medicine and it is natural. And how dare you say it is a high? It's not a high.
Oh,
it
boy.
is traveling and whatever
You're in a safe space. You could say
whatever the fuck it was, bro. It give you answers to questions you didn't even know you needed to be asking about yourself, and then it's questions that you weren't even prepared to be asked.
Oh boy,
answer. And
did you
I
cry
just
a
wanted
lot?
to giggle.
Yo, you wanted to yeah.
No.
Yeah,
It opened up a lot of stuff, man, and you know I can't sit as some proud proponent of it, because it's when you're getting into psychedelics, man, that shit is like hot sauce on some. What is your level of tolerance for that journey, and also are you even prepared on some trauma shit to even walk back out into the real world with that question rattling around in your brain for the rest of your life? And so you can go into it going, oh man, should I stay with that girl or should I leave the Daily Show? I'm not having a good time anymore. And should I leave the Daily Show? Hey man, your father was in search of love, and that's why he cheated on your mom. It wasn't because he didn't love your mom. He didn't know how to manifest love in a way that could show you how to seek love properly. And that's why you're asking yourself questions about women, is because you can't properly identify what love looks like, because you were never shown love in a proper manner. And the only way you saw love in a proper manner was when your father was with the woman he was cheating on your mom with. So now the only way for you to look at love is to take a long look at the relationship that essentially destroyed your upbringing and look at the good parts of it and take that and distill that into your son, and make sure that any woman that you're with now, even if it's not your son's mother, even if it's not somebody else down the road, you need to make sure that the elements of that relationship possess some of the positive things of what you saw from your father and the side chick.
And you're like, I'm not coming back tomorrow.
And that's day one. I'm good.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know whether or not which woman I should date, and should I keep this job?
Right.
And you've hit me with a nuclear bomb of self-realization that...
It sounds kind of cool, though. I mean, it sounds kind of... Like, if you weren't looking for it?
It depends on what your trauma is, bro, because ayahuasca gonna find that shit and yank it up out of you.
Right.
So I love, like, I have my son, co-parenting situation, right? So the idea then becomes, all right, well, he needs to see love. And that's the only thing I left with, is that my son needs to see love.
Right.
So, and it's not just me with woman, you see me with woman, this is how you treat woman. But it's also in how I treat my mother around him. It's my approach to my work. You need to see me love my work. You need to see me, even though we are co-parenting, I still love your mama, and there is still a lot of dynamics within that should exude respect and honor at all times. So it can change how you... So when I left the Daily Show, I took my son with me to clean out my office on some say goodbye shit. Like, he's been up there once or twice. He doesn't understand the magnitude of a parent leaving a job.
Yeah.
But I know in about 25 years, He's going to go find that file deep down in the archives of his brain.
When he's on ayahuasca.
Hopefully when he's pondering leaving a fucking job, Tom. That's the hope. And then he'll go, oh, wow, no, it's okay to make a change. And then I also took him to the first day of rehearsals at CNN.
Oh, nice.
And, and that, to understand, he needs to know what I do. He needs to know I love what I do. He needs to see love. Well, so when strangers speak to me on the sidewalk, show love. Like when I'm and teaching him how to walk with an air of respect and honor for people, but also keeping an eye out for the assholes. But
sure.
My point is, you cannot. Like you're going in asking a dumb relationship question or some dumb job question, and then ayahuasca's gonna go, nah.
Yeah.
Let me show you, motherfucker, what you need to be thinking about. And you think about this, it's gonna answer the rest of those questions.
Well, it sounds pretty positive.
For me.
Yeah. It sounds like it changed your life.
Yeah, but it's not. But I'm not giving a full-blown endorsement because I also would not do it again because I don't know what else. How do I know I was only at the edge of the sea shelf and then there's a Mariner's trench of fucking emotions that I never dove into?
Well, that's the part that turns me off whenever I think about doing it. It's the two things are the three things. You cry, you throw up a lot.
And mentally. Or shit.
And you're in a group.
Or shit.
Or shit.
I shat a lot. Not everybody vomits. Some people you just take a shit.
Right in your pants?
No, there's a toilet.
They let you use a toilet?
There's a line, so you got to time it, right?
Oh, jeez.
But
oh man.
Other than
these things. And the group part of it, I don't like group activities.
See, that's the part I liked about it is that you're protected in a sense because if you're on an emotional journey, the atmosphere around you can also dictate a lot of how you go into that. Like with shrooms, if you start a shroom trip in a bad mood, you're probably going to have a lot of negative emotions and negative manifestations. Whereas even if you're kind of going down that road of thinking about something sad, then you look across the room and your friend is licking the television. You're out of your shit. You're not going to go down into your trench.
Right.
You're going to come over here and go, well, how does it taste? How does electricity taste? And now there's a 20-minute pontification about stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
I feel static on my tongue.
Yeah. So instead of you being alone in a hotel room and really going into a weird place.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
there's other human beings.
I made the mistake one time, and I've probably only done this was like maybe 10 years ago. I was still living in LA, and I had a group of friends. We would get together like once or twice a year, and we would do shrooms. And I remember one time going in the bathroom. I had to go to the bathroom in the middle of the trip. Went in the bathroom, closed the door. I pee, and then I can hear everybody on the other side of the door. And I started crying because I started thinking, what if death is not what if you don't leave Earth when you die? What if you remain on Earth and you have to hear the people you love continuing on in life without you?
Oh.
And you live adjacent to them and you can't reach them. They can't hear you. You're Matthew McConaughey in Interstellar yelling through the bookshelf.
Right.
And I'm like, that's terrible. Send me to heaven or hell, bro.
Yeah.
I don't want
Sounds like purgatory.
Imagine just hanging around, just lurking on. It's basically, what if death is just a permanent live stream?
Yeah,
of everybody else's existence on
That's
this
what ghosts
planet.
are. That's why ghosts are always moaning.
I guess.
Because they're so unhappy.
I don't know.
They're stuck in that space.
I don't know, man. But then I came out that bathroom, and them motherfuckers was counting the blades of grass. On the TV, we were watching World Cup soccer.
Yeah.
We paused the TV to see if you got, and now I'm out of it.
Yeah.
So
you're not dealing with it. One time I was on mushrooms and I looked at myself in the mirror at college,
Oh
and
no.
I was like, I think my nose is like a little piggy nose. I think I have a pig nose. And I start looking at it, and I'm like, no, it's definitely a pig nose. And then once you look in the mirror, you're really screwed on
Yeah.
mushrooms. And I was convinced when I left that I was pork.
Yeah. Everything's running and moving. Everything's constantly in motion on you. It's like a kaleidoscopic image of your face.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not something that, you know, I don't know, it's weird. I've also never smoked weed or done edibles or anything like that.
Oh, really?
I just smoked
Just
my
went to the
first
big step.
cigar a month ago.
Oh, I just lost cigars. Did an event the other night. I'm sorry to
Mm.
divert, but I did this private event, and the guy gave me 4 beautiful Cuban cigars, and he had this guy wrap them up for me, and I left them in the car when they dropped me off at the hotel, and I called the guy, and he was like, "Nope, don't see them." I'm like, "Oh
Fucking
man,
fucker, you
you have my cigars. They were beautiful."
Yeah, I get it. I drink whiskey. I'm a whiskey and a scotch guy.
Oh,
So
nice.
I understand the pairing
Yeah.
of the two. The only thing that got me into it, I started doing like the smoky old fat. You know, the when they bring you the drink with smoked hickory
Uh-huh.
already in the glass
Yeah.
swirling and shit. And I was like, ooh, I'd like the taste of that. And then they go, you never inhale the cigar. I have a deathly fear of tobacco.
You do?
Yeah, that's part of why I never smoked weed. It's because everybody I knew, this is in college,
Uh-huh.
everybody I know who smoked weed also smoked Black and Milds and or also smoked cigarettes.
Right.
And to me, Black and Milds and cigarillos, like those are like the malt liquor of the cigar.
Uh-huh.
They're like in a weird land between
Yeah.
cigarette
Uh-huh.
and, you know,
Yeah.
it's not Scotch, but it's also not Mad Dog 2020, but it's like somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just my pops died of cancer
He did.
when I was 16, and so
When you were 16?
yeah. So I think there's a thing with cancer in this country where I feel like, and I don't know why it is with that disease in particular, but
Mhm.
the imagery of cancer is softened
Mhm.
by media.
You're right.
I can't. I mean, I can't blame
what
the
you mean.
medicine industry or the pharmaceutical industry, but like when you look at how Ebola is portrayed, or even AIDS,
Right.
when AIDS was, and they were really like, "Yo, y'all better fucking stop fucking. You gonna look like him."
Yeah, this is
And
terrifying
they'd show, and
stuff.
they'd wheel out AIDS victims in '89 with their
Yep.
IV little gurney, you know, little
Mhm.
IV
20
rail.
pounds.
But cancer, it's just all peaceful. It's just kind, and it's just
You're right.
oh, he died peacefully with his surrounded by family, just went to sleep. And cancer on TV and cancer in movies, it's
Mhm.
all people fucking it's Forrest Gump and his mama.
Yeah.
Mama caught the cancer.
Uh,
And she's just whispering softly. I promise you, that is not what the fuck the last month of cancer looks like.
oh man.
It is horrific, and it is painful to see and to witness. And you know, my pops had prostate cancer, so you know
Mhm.
that could have been diets, FDA fuckery, or it's just the luck of the draw of genetics.
Yeah.
If you knew what the last month of cancer looked like, we would all be less prone to doing things that are cancerous.
Right.
In
It
theory,
is a weird thing. I've never thought of that.
In
It's
theory.
really, they do make it feel like it's a
the diseases that are marketed to properly scare us, we react differently in the spirit of prevention, and we hold the medical companies far more accountable.
mhm.
Whereas cancer, it's like, oh yeah, they're working on it. Oh,
Yeah.
it was a cancer benefit. Oh, so and so died of cancer. Yeah, he was peaceful in his home, surrounded by his loved
Yeah.
ones. Versus the Ebola's coming, the bird flu's coming, even COVID.
Yeah.
Even COVID, they
Yeah.
showed you stacks of bodies outside. The mortuary's full, motherfucker. You better get the shot. And we were far more proactive, and we were far more in the spirit of prevention, and we were far more
Yeah.
in holding companies accountable. And we put the fucking foot to the neck of pharmacy companies to go, hey, y'all need to fix
Yeah.
this shit.
Now.
You know, it's the old Chris
Yeah.
Rock joke. They're not going to fix cancer. They're not going to cure it because the money's in the medicine.
Right.
But
When your father,
So yeah, I don't smoke, but I still drink alcohol and eat hot dogs, which are
right?
also supposedly cancer. So I'm
Yeah.
a fucking hypocrite. But
Well, you limit it.
the connection of tobacco, and I had a grandmother who died of emphysema. Like she smoked, so it's just
Yeah.
eh.
Did you have your father was into civil rights and a
Yeah, he was a journalist.
broadcaster?
Yeah, he was a radio journalist who covered black injustices across the globe, and he embedded with black people in very terrible places during very terrible times, and then wrote
Amazing.
about it, and then went back on the radio in Chicago and would tell the stories every week.
And you were pretty acutely aware of that because I mean, here we are today. You're on CNN, and you have this. You've really developed this beautiful voice
Yeah.
in comedy and
Yeah,
politics.
I am a man with opinions,
Yeah, yes, you are.
but I don't think I
But
had those opinions till like my 30s, and then like that's when I kind of probably fully morphed into a funnier version of my dad.
do you think it was? Were you inspired by his journey, or was it genetic?
Indifferent, I think it's genetic.
You do.
I think it's genetic. I got two little brothers that they're far more pro-black and proactive than me. I got a little brother that's deep into, prison reform and trying to change, state of Alabama from the inside. I have another brother who is part of a mentoring program for, 12 to 17-year-olds, which is where most black kids get shot and really
Right.
fall off the wagon.
Yeah.
Fall off society's wagon is in that age range. I got two older brothers who are deep into journalism, but my pops wasn't funny. It was just very
Yeah.
no nonsense.
Yeah.
And this is what's happening. This is what they're doing to us. And if y'all ain't careful, it's gonna happen again. Here's weather.
Right. Yeah.
Like that was his thing. But the year before he died, I used to do I got my learner's permit, and so I would ride around with my pops. I would drive him to his speaking engagements, and so that's kind of how I learned to drive. Was driving my dad to shit.
Right.
And so Sundays he'd go and speak at a church, and then some days he'd go speak at a college or something like that. So I get to see it, up close and personal.
Right.
I make trips.
So it
with-
had to have some effect on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
the idea of keeping one eye open and recognizing that this country doesn't necessarily have the best interest in mind of all its citizens,
Mm-hmm.
I've always carried. How to put that on stage
Yeah.
took a long time,
Right.
probably 15 years. It's like 15 years before I really started talking about race in any real way. I remember the first attempt at it. Shit, this is 03, give or take. At the time, it was at the peak of this white girl from a Birmingham suburb, actually, where I'm from, Natalie Holloway. And like everybody, like that was the missing white woman of the moment.
Right. I remember. That. remember
Class
that
trip
name.
to Aruba.
Right.
Jorn Vandersloot was accused of kidnapping her and blah, blah, blah. To this day, they've never found the body. So there was a big fervor in Black America about how America can get caught up in the missing good-looking white woman. And with
Right.
respect to Natalie Holloway, okay, fine, she's missing, let's find her. But also, there's all of these other fucking missing folks over here that we never talk about.
Right.
And so, Tamika Huston, forgive me for not remembering the name, solid. It's been 20 years, but there was a black woman who was missing by that name at that time. And I went on Comic View and basically did a kind of a whataboutism kind of bit about, we're looking for her, but we're not looking for this woman.
Right.
And I can't remember the premise. Like every black person needs a picture of themselves as a white person so that people will come look for. I can't remember the exact premise of it, but I did that joke and BET edited it out. It did not make air.
Really?
But when I go back and look at it now with the 20-year lens, it was just anger.
Mm-hmm.
there was no real punchlines. It was just anger and just
Mm.
yelling and preaching, and don't nobody want to hear that shit.
Right.
You gotta make this shit funny. This is a different. So
Yeah. Spoonful of sugar.
and keep in mind, I started stand up when I was 19, so I probably did that joke when I was like 24,
Mm-hmm.
25.
Yeah.
I'm too young to be believed to be that angry by a 40-year-old audience.
Yeah.
So the idea of me even trying to be woke is not going to be digestible, because the presumed experience, you will presume that I do not have enough life experiences
Mm-hmm.
to even swim in those waters. So just do the jokes about Kobe Bryant, Colorado charges, and get off the
Right.
stage.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's when I was watching your correspondence dinner. It really, it really struck me that you're in this really sweet spot, that you've developed your craft, where you're able to deliver really heavy, complicated issues in succinct jokes that are powerful. And that takes a lot of time just as a comic, just to get the skill. But also, for this kind of comedy, you do have to be a certain age. You do have to have life experience. The audience perceives that life experience.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm sure there were times when you were coming up where it's like, you get impatient, as we all do, and it's like you want to pop, but this is your time. It really is. You're in such a perfect comedic spot, and it's only going to get better.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
I was just, I don't know, it's just when I first started delving into race stuff, it was more anger. And then also, I didn't have an hour of material that wove together. So
Right.
you can't do 10, 15 minutes on police harassment and then talk about how I like whiskey, not wine.
Yeah.
Every time I try to order wine, they ask me what I'm going to eat tonight. What the fuck that's got to do with me getting drunk? Give me the wine, motherfucker. Well, we need to know what it's going to pair with. It's pairing with Cheetos and beef jerky. You know what? Fuck this. I'm leaving. I'm getting a beer. When you get a beer, nobody asks you what you eat. You're going to do that joke and then get right into fucking Democrat, Republican? You can't.
Yeah.
So it just, it takes
But
time.
you do, yeah. You have a good balance of it. What is the most annoying thing? You've got the show now on CNN.
Have I got news for you?
Have I got news for you? And it's a great panel news show, and you are the center of it. So you're out doing a lot of press on it.
Yeah.
Running around. It premiered just a couple weeks ago. And what was the most annoying question that reporters would ask you about The Daily Show? About you leaving The Daily Show? Because I'm sure it got repetitive.
It's not, why did you leave The Daily Show? That was always the question.
Mm-hmm.
I have to respect that question. The Daily Show is an institution, and why would you leave that?
Mm-hmm.
It's a good job in a time of not a lot of good jobs.
Right.
I understood that question. I think in leaving The Daily Show, the difficult thing with doing media about it is the presumption of beef, or the presumption of disdain or hatred for the building, because in our society, the only way you leave a job is if you're fed up.
Right.
And
taking over the file cabinet and giving them.
Yeah. And so, and what I've tried to explain to all these reporters, man, is that I looked at the market and I made a decision on, if I'm going to jump to something next, I feel like now is the right time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to leave, but sooner or later, this job will be no more. That's the truth about every fucking job.
Mm-hmm.
Sooner or later, it will be no more.
That's right.
So if you have a chance, if you think you can, if you time it right, I could jump and elevate.
Mm-hmm.
I think the way this market is looking, I know what's going to happen at Daily Show. There's no host right now. So it's going to be another year of what, when I left, Jon Stewart was not in the conversation of returning.
Yeah.
And there was no new plan per corporate, in my conversation with corporate, not the Daily Show producers. I'm talking Comedy Central, Viacom, we're way past Daily Show producers' heads at this point.
They're making the call.
Correct. There was no clear, concise summation of what the strategy would be for either guest hosting or bringing in another temporary host, whether or not I would be in that loop. Okay, respect.
Mm-hmm.
You need time to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that kind of time.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I can't wait 2 months. I can't.
Yeah.
The writer's strike is ending. It's October. And if we're playing musical chairs or finding somewhere else to land, if I want to pitch a show, like I was thinking, because I left in October of 23. And the thought was between now and Thanksgiving, I can get out there and pitch something. And if not, then I can figure out the top of next year to start figuring out where I fit into this election year. Because the election year 2024, that if there is a new non-scripted news show to come out, it will premiere in 2024.
Right.
And I believed that in October. And I'm not saying that on some CNN validation shit. What I'm saying is that if there is a new show, if anybody's going to do a new political comedy show, it's not going to be on the other side of the election.
Right.
It's going to be during the election.
Smart.
So if my goal is to host something or do anything different or expand or grow, I have to leave now, because otherwise in October, I'm going to sign a year-long contract with you again.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to hem me up until the election.
Yeah.
And then and also, your fucking company is imploding under a merger.
Yeah.
We don't know who the new motherfucker is, and even if he wants the Daily Show, these people don't give a fuck, bro.
They're not.
They cancel shows at Paramount.
They're really
2 months ago. Not even been 2 months. It's like a week ago. Killed their entire podcast divisions, including the head of, and I'm not talking about Comedy Central podcast.
Yeah.
All of Paramount. So podcasts that are in the top 10 on iTunes, bye-bye.
Yeah. Well, they're losing billions of dollars.
Bro, we are in an era where they shoot movies and then don't release them. You think they give a fuck about a correspondent? They will fucking cut you loose.
Yeah.
If they decide to. And that's fine.
Yeah.
But I don't think I should stay for that.
Right. Yeah.
And I could be wrong. I could very much be wrong,
right.
Tom. But the choice to leave was in fear of staying too long and not having an opportunity to jump.
Yeah.
It wasn't because I hated them.
Right.
It wasn't because they didn't have a plan. It wasn't because they did not choose to be. Do you feel bad that they did?
Right.
That none of that never processed.
Yeah.
I love everybody in that fucking building.
Yeah.
And like, well, when you didn't get the job, well, I don't know. I know Hassan was in the mix. He's come out and said that they offered him the job, and then he didn't get the job. Okay, cool. So if he's out the door, and then I come to you and I go, do you have a plan B? And you go, well, we're figuring it out.
Yeah. Yeah. That was bold, though. I mean, it's a difficult thing. You know, as a comic, you start out and you just are happy for anybody to say, I'm going to give you work. Everybody from the club to the whatever. And then to get a job that's paying you and your face is out there, it's a hard thing to walk from.
But I know, or at least the paranoia I have, and maybe this is trauma. Maybe I should go back and do that second day of ayahuasca. I've worked enough jobs in radio to know that the shit, more often than not, does not end well. You don't get a hero's exit.
No.
I got fired on Twitter from my morning show from a station that I worked for 12 years.
Whoa. On Twitter?
Found out on Twitter. I found out with the general public that I no longer had a job.
Yeah.
That's the game, bro.
It's the game. And you know, I have a lot of friends that are just in regular jobs, corporate jobs, lawyer jobs. It ends the same for everybody.
Bro, I've heard stories of comedians and actors who have been cast for a TV show, and then you show up for the table read, which is essentially your first day trainee badge. Welcome. Here's the bathroom. Over there's the break room day.
Yeah.
People who have been cast and shit, and then the next day they get a call, yeah, we're going to recast you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This game is cold-blooded. This game is cutthroat.
Yep.
And so I choose to make moves that I feel like will give me the best chance to win down the road. Comedy is dope in that you don't reap what you sow for about 6 to 8 months, generally speaking.
Mhm.
Any choice you make right now
Yeah.
won't affect you
Yeah.
for about 9 or 10 months. Business strategic type stuff.
Right.
So you have to think ahead. Like over the summer during the writer's strike, rewind to January. I don't know, was that the WGA Awards in February or something? I spoke with a couple of writers who were like on the negotiating team for the Guild.
Yeah.
And what they laid out seemed like a very serious case for a work stoppage. Okay. All right, let me call my agent. Hey man, it's Roy. Book me in 40 cities. They're predicting a November stoppage. So let's go June to November. Just give me some dates. Because I need to make sure that bills are paid.
Yep.
And then sure enough, a couple months later,
Yeah.
you
gotta think.
Yeah, you're constantly burying acorns. So I say all of that to say the idea of leaving, I am asked the question about leaving the Daily Show from people sometimes who cannot quantify that fear is also a motivating factor in change, and that the idea that I need to be in control. It's the jump out the plane versus push out the plane.
Mm-hmm.
And so for fear of not knowing the millions of different ways this could end, I'm going to roll the dice. I'm going to leave. And then I'm going to host any and every fucking thing I can and treat all of those opportunities as auditions for something bigger.
Right.
And in the meantime, do stand up, sell a book, sell a Hulu special. So we know 24 straight.
Yeah.
The son's going to have food in the roof.
Yeah.
Everybody's good. Co-parenting good. Go team, go. Yeah.
Yeah.
And hopefully by the end of 24, I can land something or I'll create something, because that's the other thing everybody else is doing, is just making their own thing. But I need time to study the market, see who's doing what, so I'm not copycatting. Like, there's still logistics in building your own YouTube empire. You're not just going to stumble into that anymore.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
it's...
No, you did a good job. We do something on this program called An Uncomfortable Moment. I think this is a good time for it. We have our researchers take deep dives, and we really respect that the way you run your business, and you kind of like found a place to take your
fucked up question. It's too complimentary on the front end.
And that story you just told, and then ending up on CNN as the host of this amazing show.
Which is also a show that's a remake of a British show from 35 years, that's been running for 35 years.
Yeah.
So even me leaving the Daily Show thinking, oh, well, I'll just sell my own fucking... Wrong.
Yeah, and you end up in this institution. So it seems like you make a lot of moves with real integrity, but you also seem to have, well, not sold out, but it seems like here we got a picture of you auditioning for another show. You want to explain this?
That is a scandal. That is a scandal.
There's no shame. I mean, Big Bird is a
do
Big Bird.
drugs with Big Bird.
What went
good
wrong with you
Photoshop.
and Big Bird? Isn't that beautiful?
Good Photoshop. I would have loved to have done Sesame Street. I don't think I'm famous enough.
Yeah, I think you
Also,
and Big Bird could have been good together.
Also, I'm too political, probably. I know some producers of shows just think of me as like a Lewis Black type, so they just think I'm gonna come on and yell about racism. It's like, I have other thoughts.
When you grew up? Oh, by the way, these are croissants for you.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Fucked them up on the way out.
Who cooked for you when you were a kid?
my mom, we generally only ate together as a family on Sundays. We were very much a latchkey kid. My mom made food, but it was just in there.
Right.
My mom would come home for the entirety of my childhood. My mom was always pursuing another degree, some secondary education, some
Right.
master's, law school, doctorate program, like just.
Yeah.
So she'd come
Working.
home at 5. She out the door at 6 to be at a 6:30 to 9 p.m. night school situation. So
Right.
I'm getting in at baseball practice maybe right at 6, or boys club. Like I'm just always in the house at 5:30 on most days.
Right.
She's either cooked something or it's something to heat up or it's pot pies. Like
Nice.
it's not like cooking takes a degree of time that a lot of working class people, if you're trying to better yourself, you're not gonna have time for all of that shit.
What were
You gotta
Sundays like?
decide. Sundays was breakfast. Huge
Big
breakfast.
Yeah, that's nice.
No matter what beef my parents had, Sunday was breakfast. That was like the truce.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
and we didn't really talk much. We just sat and read the paper.
Uh-huh.
And we would, talk about random stories in the paper and just kind of it would create debate and crosstalk. My
Right.
mom, my dad is a high intellectual. My mother the same. So I could sit at the table and listen to them talk about Iran Contra.
Right.
Like,
And you're a kid.
yeah. And then leave with my dad in the 5th grade and fucking go see Jesse Jackson giving a speech in town. And then my dad's backstage with Jesse Jackson and Dick Gregory and
Wow.
John Lewis.
Man,
Just
oh,
kicking.
man.
Yeah, these my old friends. And
Jeez.
so that was Sundays,
Yeah.
But yeah, we were very
Wow.
much a current events family. My
Wow.
dad watched the local news. My dad, this is so old school. My pops would watch C-SPAN if there was an important vote on something relevant that he thought his listeners needed to know about. He would take a tape recorder and put the tape recorder beside the speaker on the TV, and that's how he pulled shots to air sound bites on his radio show.
Right.
So I'd come through the house, stomping and yelling and making some noise. Shut up, motherfucker! Recording the speeches. And deep down, I hope that one of those made it into my dad's broadcast.
That's amazing.
And now, as you all know, the House spoke on the referendum. Here's Senator Bob Dole speaking about the referendum. Shut up, motherfucker!
I was just playing.
Yeah. But yeah, that was like
Wow.
Sundays were a good day.
Yeah.
Those were usually like.
So when you grow up in this, you have this lens on the country and the way people are treated from the time you're a little kid, and I mean the things you're saying, like you're next to the people that are really on the front lines of it all. At this stage in your life, are you hopeful? Do you feel like we've made progress since your dad was stomping around?
Yeah, in some ways. I just think that America is a cycle of progress and backlash. And I think during the backlash cycle, the people who fought for progress sometimes, it's easy to turn a blind eye, or you stop to take a breath and then realize, oh, wait, we got to get back in the fight. So I think more people are aware of what's happening in the world. But I think there's also more people that care less to change it. You know what I mean? Like, there's very much a, well, that's not my problem type of ideology now.
They'll take care of it.
Which is where I feel like in the 60s or 70s, there might have been a little bit more of, hey, what are you guys up to over there? Okay, all right, we'll come help you fight a little bit. But I think you're always in a battle. If you're trying to change this government and capitalistic structure of it, I think you're always in a battle of fighting for what's good for society and balancing that with what's healthy for yourself. I've met very few activists who are not stressed. I won't say that they aren't happy, because this new wave of activists have figured out ways to take a self-help day or whatever. Self-care day or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
my dad was always angry, man.
Yeah.
He was always not at me, but just at the world.
Yeah.
You know, so it's easy to see how the first woman that just goes, "Come over here, I'm gonna make you some food and rub your back."
Mm-hmm.
You know, fuck it, we fucking like that's because the world never gave him that,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the balance I deal with. It's the one thing I enjoy about CNN. The thing that's interesting about Daily Show, and I'm not sure which one is better or worse. As a correspondent on the Daily Show, you take periodic adventures out of New York City to places to talk with people who are dealing with horrific conditions and circumstances. And your job is to make this horrific condition or circumstance funny.
Mm-hmm.
And you ain't got to do it every week. You got to do it every day. But when you do it, you're going to be down there for 3 days, and you're going to be in some shit, and you're going to see some shit.
Mm-hmm.
Every now and then, you're going to see some last week of cancer type stuff that's going on in our world. In between those trips is where you get to heal, you get to recharge, you come in the studio, do something silly on the green screen,
Mm-hmm.
breathe for a second. Whereas with Have I Got News for You, we can talk about the things that are horrible, but because it's essentially a fake game show it's discussion about current events presented as a quiz show. We can't stay in the topic too long.
Right.
So would you rather go out of town and for 3 days really dive into it, or would you rather skim everything?
Mm-hmm.
Because the conceit of our show is to bring you up to speed on what is happening.
Yeah, for the week.
I'm not here to present the solution. I'm not here to daily show it and tell you here's the causation, or here's pretty much every field piece is here's the problem. And then you have enough time left in the field piece to either address the causation of it or the solution. And who's blocking the solution or fighting for the solution, and vice versa. Who are the pro and con on causation or the pro and con on solution?
Right.
That's all you got time for. But you have to honor those quadrants for it to be a proper, well-rounded field piece.
Yeah.
Where on my show, I can make a quick Eric Adams jab, and if I want, I can delve deeper into the fact that it points to the issue of corruption at the state and local level, and that's how countries are really going to infiltrate America. It's not going to be through Washington. It's going to be through your county electorates. It's going to be through all of the people, all them names down at the bottom that you don't think about. Those are the ones that are willing to sell their soul for a fucking seat on Turkish Airlines. It ain't even the best airline in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Shout out to Emirates. Emirates, if you're watching, I'll take an upgrade.
Emirates is the real deal.
Well, you know what? No, I take that back. I need to check my CNN contract. So yeah.
But it's interesting. I know what you're saying. Like you're kind of moving it along. But there's a very interesting thing about
and more people dispassionate.
Yeah, but there's an interesting thing about you as a host. The reason comedians are great at this role that you have, your essence and your point of view comes through on everything. Even if you're not diving into it, we know as a viewer where the way you wink at the camera, the way you're phrasing the line, the way you're talking to your little guest host. It really, like, it just comes out. There's no real way to stamp that down, which is why it's a great spot for you.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Yeah,
thank you. It's been a good time so far. I really had a really good time on the show, and Amber Ruffin and Michael Ian Black are there as well.
Yeah,
it's like team captains. Basically permanent panelists.
Yeah, right.
So it's fun because you've got 6 days to go through every other emotion about these topics. We just here to clown it and make jokes. The only thing I hate is that stuff can happen at the beginning of the week.
Yeah.
Might not make it to Friday because we live in a news cycle that's so fucking tumultuous.
It's amazing. I know. I mean, even you shoot on Friday.
Yeah, we shoot Friday nights. And
it airs Saturday.
And even then you could have, if you slid, like we're recording this right now in a stretch of time where in 4 days we've had a hurricane, a biblical level hurricane in
Mm,
some parts of the Carolinas and Tennessee.
yeah. Who never worried about hurricanes.
We've had a chemical fire that is spreading poisonous smoke throughout Atlanta, Georgia. Then I think a day or two later, there were the rocket strikes from Iran to Israel, and then the VP debate.
Yep.
That all happened.
And the biggest
within-
port in the country shut down from strike. Here.
Oh yeah, port, East Coast port shut down,
Yeah.
and Eric Adams was indicted for corruption.
Right.
The mayor of the largest
That
city.
seems like nothing now. That really seems like nothing.
From Friday till Tuesday,
Yeah. Yeah.
all of that happened.
That's crazy.
So
Yeah.
even if that was like a Monday, like a Wednesday to Friday proposition,
Yeah.
how the fuck do you put all of that? But with this game, with the game show quiz
Yeah.
format, we're able to pop.
Right.
Whereas because the Daily Show, because it's considered the Daily Show and John Oliver and a lot of other shows, is that we can't just go, Hurricane Mark Robinson didn't show up for the vote for the relief for the people of North Carolina. Moving on. You have to get really deeper into the ideology of why that is cataclysmic. Why did
Right.
J.D. Vance not show up for 2 votes? Because he was in Ohio chasing all the cat Haitian stories. Like,
Yeah.
that's a deeper conversation
Mhm.
about you claim you care, but you don't show up to vote. Whereas
Yeah.
our show, we can just surface, pop.
Yeah.
So it's 2 different styles of staying informed about the news.
After
I
being
think.
involved in both of those ends of it, when you look at people like Tucker Carlson and you see the way that they just use the news but manipulate it in this weird entertainment fashion to just really spread like the worst of the worst. Does
Yeah.
it give you perspective on the game that they play?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's about profitability as well. It's about
Mhm.
making money. You know, I don't think that every right wing media person believes everything they're pushing. I think I'm not gonna say it's pro wrestling. They have to be aware of
It feels like it,
they have to be aware of the damage that some of this stuff is inciting.
and they don't care.
Yeah,
They play it
it's-
like that's the thing that bothers me. They play it like it's a game, and they even, their side texts are, the opposite of what they're telling the people, and it's all just show to them.
yeah.
But there's real people that
Okay.
are acting out on it.
But see, then the perspective I have, having done the Correspondents Dinner and having gone to a couple of events in Washington, media events, and even NABJ, National Association of Black Journalists, a lot of these people who you think don't like each other, they be drinking together.
Mm-hmm.
They be kicking it. Won't be seen on camera.
Uh-huh.
Won't laugh at me on camera at the Correspondents Dinner, but when I saw you at that after party, you came up and told me you love me.
Uh-huh. Because it's a game.
And there's a degree of, I'm going to say these things and I don't have necessarily the same level of care and concern for the fallout of what I say. But what that does, it makes me, let me be nice in how I say this.
You don't have to be.
It makes me wonder which one is next. In the sense that you can have like a right-wing pundit who plays a little more centrist, like Tucker Carlson in the early days was, I'm on CNN to say some non-CNN kind of opinions, but in a way that's digestible, it makes sense, it's policy. You pair him with James Carville, and because Carville represents kind of the other side, depending on the
Mhm.
discussion, Carville, you feel like, oh, okay, well, Carville checked him. So Tucker's not threat. He's just saying that thing, but that guy put him in his place. Fuck yeah. And I'm sure conservatives felt the same way on the flip, right?
Mhm.
You have people that play a certain lane, and then as opportunities are denied, you lean in the only way you can to continue to make money. You get what I'm saying? And so
Yeah.
then
They get response.
But which one is the truth? Is it more centrist Tucker on CNN? Was it Tucker on Fox News, or is it the Tucker we get now? We won't know until he's out of the game. You know, Megyn Kelly's another great example. Even more so with Megyn Kelly, because all right, you're on Fox News and you have on some weird guests and you say some weird shit, but okay. But like on a 1 to 10 is probably a 7 or an 8. And then you go to Today Show and everything gets dialed back to a 1 or a 2.
Right.
Like, oh, that's what you really wanted. You really wanted inclusion into the fucking mainstream, and you didn't get it, and now you got it, and you say, oh, and then oh shit, she's fired from the Today Show, and then it's she left and contraction, whatever. Then it's wait, she's saying what now?
Right, on her
now
own.
I'm a fuck on a 10. Well, which one is the truth? I don't know. All three are employable. I think there's definitely the average person watching and consuming that type of content does not have the discernment that comedians and other journalists have. And I do think a lot of that stuff does incite.
Do you feel like you want to be beholden to your beliefs before you?
No, I'm here for the jokes, and I make that clear and cut first and foremost. And if we can sneak in a vegetable in the jokes, cool. But I mean, even on the left, like even with Democrats, there's a lot of mistaking making a point for a punchline. And to me, that ain't comedy, and it also ain't journalism in a way. Like if you're just leaning into the most extreme beliefs without ever considering or conceding some other point that the other side is making, there's a lot less of a desire to meet in the middle on shit. And so, you know, I'm not going to just get on stage and just yell what I think just because. If you didn't laugh, the trick is, that was the beauty of George Carlin. He could get you to laugh at shit you don't agree with. That's game. And through that laugh, maybe now your point of view gets to permeate in. Just yelling and calling people stupid, and I mean, saying people fuck couches is kind of funny. But you gotta leave that alone after a while. You peep how Tim Waltz stopped calling them weird. He came out the gate, they're weird. And then, I don't know, probably somebody from Kamala's team was like, motherfucker, shut that fuck up.
You can't do that joke again.
We're gonna do this shit on policy. We got to win on policy. Because you can't, because when you insult people, they shut down.
I think the problem is that journalism and entertainment mixed so much at this point.
It's terrible. It's terrible for politics. It's terrible.
Like, you are a comedian. You're in a show that's journalism adjacent, but this is a comedy show.
Correct. And I even get weird now. Now, you want to talk about something that people do. People say, well, you're the host of a show on CNN. Like, you're a CNN host. And I still don't know what title to give myself because I don't want you to assume that I am Jake Tapper or Fareed Zakaria, like people that are much more buttoned. I'm not Abby Phillip. I ain't Caitlin Collins. They have a different standard that they must abide by that is higher than mine. So you need to understand, if you fucking with me, you get into the jokes. I might fact check it. I don't know, but figuring out that delineation is hard.
It is hard.
But I think that the average person watching cable news can't tell the difference between a pundit and a journalist, and that's where the muddying and the facts became gray, because opinions were assumed to be facts, and they were presented as factual, and then no one on the panel is checking crazy comedy guy because they're just crazy comedy guy, and then the pundit gets to say their weird thing without a punchline. And now that shit sounds factual.
Exactly.
Bad comedy sounds like facts.
When Hannity would catch shit, he would say, "I'm not a journalist. I'm not a journalist. I'm an entertainer." And it was like, well, you're playing a journalist most of the time. The people watching you definitely think you are a journalist.
That's why I always felt like like if you're a pundit on any network, you shouldn't be allowed to wear a suit.
That would be a good fix. Like a uniform.
It's like, like in FIFA, where if you're not in the game, you have to wear that stupid construction vest so that you can't sneak on the field and pretend to be an actual player. Like, that should be the same thing. Journalists wear a suit. Everybody else is just fucking a hoodie.
Yeah, that would be
You
a
can't
good
believe
solve.
anybody in a hoodie.
Did you shoot your Hulu special?
Yeah, we just shot.
Did it?
Yeah, we shot in D.C. Lincoln Theater. It was a good time, man. It was a good time. They haven't given
That's
me
great.
a release date yet, but we'll see. Dealing with
good.
streamers are a little different than Comedy Central.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. You happy with it?
Yeah, I'm very happy. It's probably the last one of like a traditional stand up that I'll probably do.
Oh yeah, why? What do you
I
mean?
don't know about ever, but for sure for a while.
For a while.
I've been in it with Birbiglia, Chris Rock, and Neil Brennan about trying to do a one-person show. So that's going to be the next thing.
Oh yeah.
That I start trying to set up, figuring that out, and like this journey between me and my dad and other men in my life that I'd gleaned wisdom from after my father passed. I think that's
a great story.
That's the way to go.
Yeah.
And you can't do that at a in a theater for $50 where people just want big laughs. So I got to figure that out first and then grow it into something that people will want to see at a theater.
Right.
For $70.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't kind of roll in and when they're expecting the Roy.
I've been one thing for
show.
what will now be 4 straight comedy specials.
Yeah.
This next thing's got to be a slower transition.
Right.
So that's what I'm working on.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, man.
I would love to see that. It's such an interesting story.
Yeah.
I mean, we just scratched the surface, but I mean, God, it's a really.
Yeah.
I mean, your father would be so proud. To see where you are now. He'd probably tell you to be meaner.
You did the show with the president. Did you cuss that cracker out?
Right, exactly.
No,
exactly. You shook his hand?
Yeah, probably.
Right?
Probably so. When you get up to DC, ask that cracker why he cut the referendum to do the thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll have enough time for that, Dad.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a quick photo op.
But Dad, it's the president.
Yeah. We're in the process of digitizing a lot of my pop's old news commentaries that he did.
Oh yeah,
they're all on reel to reels. So I'm like setting up the machines and listening to them.
That's got to be your own ayahuasca trip.
Yeah, really.
It's got to be a lot of.
Upload that shit like a podcast.
Yeah, uncovering and unearthing, and it's a lot.
Yeah, indeed, man.
Yeah. Did he talk like you? Did he have a voice like you?
No, my father was very deep and baritone, and he enunciated every word. Because in radio days in the 50s and 60s, that's how you did.
That's right.
WVON News Time is 11:07. I'm Roy Wood, and these are the headlines.
Nice.
Like that's. Yeah, that was my pops.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you for having me, man.
Yeah, this is really great. You know, it's funny. We've always been in the orbit together, and I always love seeing you. But we never really got to spend a lot of time together.
Never did.
But I always loved when I'd see your name on the lineup. Or one time at Hilarities, I snuck in. I was doing something somewhere else and got to watch you and catch up. And I've always had a real respect and just a joy when I would see you around.
I remember seeing you at the Last Comic Standing season 7 finale.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not mistaken, I feel like you had a show on NBC. You had a sitcom, and they had you come do a set that night. It was you, Kathy Griffin,
right,
and Gloria Gaynor.
Uh-huh.
And I say this with respect to Gloria Gaynor. But myself and the other comedians, we were disappointed because we felt like that night was our night.
Mm-hmm.
And so Last Comic Standing, they had 5, that season, they had 5 comedians in the finale.
Uh-huh.
Myself, Felipe, Tommy Johnigan, Kaplan, DiStefano, rest in peace. And the producers tell us the finale is going to be 2 hours. Okay. And they go, but only 2 of the top 5 will perform before we announce the winner.
Oh.
And we go, well, that's fucked up. And they go, yeah, well, the top 2 comedians will do 2.5 minutes, and then we will announce the winner.
Huh.
I go, okay. Well, why the fuck are we here? Why are the other 3, like, why are all 5 comedians here?
Yeah.
You could have just chopped this down to two niggas last week.
Right.
And go, all right, it's a 2-hour show. You're telling me nowhere in that 2 hours, there isn't 6 minutes for the other 3 comedians to do 2 minutes apiece, to just say one last goodbye to America.
Mm-hmm.
Who's performing? And they go, well, we've got Tom Papa's going to do some time. Craig Robinson, who's the host, he's going to do some time. We're going to bring on Kathy Griffin to do some time. And we're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Look who else. Oh, also the 3 judges, because the 3 judges are also comedians. Right. So we're going to bring on the judges. And the judges, each judge, Greg Giraldo will do time. Right. Was it Natasha Leggero, and was it Zoe Bowden? Was it Alonzo Bowden? I think. Maybe. Yeah, I can't remember who the 3rd judge was. Yeah. So at this point, we're up to 7 people, 7 comedians. And then they go, and then comic 1 and comic 2 will perform. I go, okay. So then what else? Yeah, also at the top of hour 2, Gloria Gaynor is going to come on and perform I Will Survive. Google this shit, bro. She fucking perform in the middle of a comedy contest show. They have Gloria, and I love Gloria Gaynor. You have all these other music shows, motherfucker. Put her on one of those and give the comedians back that time so that the fucking contestants can perform on the fucking finale. Who the fuck?
I will survive.
Planned this. That was the night I met you. I was so fucking mad that I didn't come over. I didn't like chop it up with you that, but I wasn't mad at you. But I get it. You had a Jerry Seinfeld vouched program,
right, on the network.
Put this motherfucker up. We got to make sure motherfuckers watch this motherfucker on the next week. Yeah. You made sense. Kathy made sense. But that Gloria Gaynor shit, I couldn't get past it, bro. I couldn't get past it. And I got eliminated. I came in 3rd, so I didn't even get to perform on the finale of a show. And me and Mike D and Mike Kaplan, we sat back there and we was in that bitch furious.
Oh, God.
Oh, we were furious. And motherfuckers like you coming back in it, because it's in a theater. Yeah. So the green room, everybody's in the same space.
Yeah. I was in a nice trailer.
Yeah. Yeah. Say what
Air
the
conditioned
fuck?
trailer. There was pineapple.
You come walking past us to get on stage. Hey guys, Tom Papa, good to meet you. Yeah, Tom. Hello. Fuck him. So yeah, it's good to see you under better circumstances.
Is my car ready?
Man,
I'm out of there before they even announce the winner.
The wildest shit about Last Comic Standing that year is that we all lost to Felipe. And like any comedian who's lost, you're a little angry for a second. And It's not directed at Felipe directly, but you're mad because you wanted the money. The next day, we're on a bus together for an 80-city tour.
Oh, man.
A guy who just won $250,000 and the 4 guys who lost it.
Oh.
All together on a bus for 4 months. Who the fuck thought of this? Also, appreciate the money, NBC. That was a good lick. We went to 80 cities, man. That was a good fucking note. I needed that money.
80 cities.
Yeah, but yeah, that was my point. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you too. I'm happy for your success.
And Gloria Gaynor, I love you.
I do it. And now you're strutting through the clubs, warming up for your show, and people are like,
you know what I should do for my next special?
Roy.
I should fucking book Gloria Gaynor.
That would be great. And tell her she can only do 2 minutes.